Hi everyone, thanks for coming. Got another awesome New Zealand JavaScript Wellington.js meetup, first one of the year. So yeah, version 2.0, we're going with Semver properly this time. Obligatory. I'd like to do a shout out to the Biz Dojo and the Collider program for hosting us here. They give us a free venue space, which is the largest by far we can find to host so many people. A little bit of housekeeping. If there's a fire or emergency, there's a fire exit next to the entrance that you came in. Alternatively, if you go through that door and to the end, there's a fire exit there. And we just meet next to the exits, either on Vivian Street or Tory Street. Hopefully that won't happen. Toilets are to the back there. Just go through the door with the sign on it. Big shout out to our main sponsors, Catalyst, who are always hiring JavaScript developers. So definitely go along to Catalyst. Jen is floating around in the audience somewhere. Talk to her if you're looking for a JavaScript job. And Talent Army. So Troy is down the back there. Awesome place if you're looking for all kinds of different work. I got my latest gig through Troy. Just fantastic service. It's basically unlike any other recruitment place you could think of. You go there, talk about what you like, they find matches, and you get jobs. It's wicked. So definitely talk to Troy if you're looking for work. Our organizers are awesome. So these are people who help me out running this event. Anna's in the front. She'll be talking today. Ryan and Craig both are unavailable. Craig's running the Angular meetup, which so happened to clash particularly on today, which is terrible, but we live with these things. I'm going to do a few community announcements first. So we'll have Jen come up here because she's got a prior engagement to be at.
Hey folks, so I confess I've double booked another totally nerdy thing. I have to go and play some Dungeons and Dragons, so apologies, I'm just disappearing. Okay, so first up, I'm sure that most of you are probably already aware that we've got the conference coming up in March on March 9th and 10th. That's going to be at Shed 6. I am particularly wanting to remind you today that we have the call for papers closing this Friday. So if you would like to submit a talk, I would be very, very happy to see your submissions because it's the wealth of expertise and knowledge that happens in this group that make me confident to go ahead with the conference in the first place. So I'm really looking forward to seeing some more submissions. We have got one more meetup before the conference, so I'll be back with a few more updates then, but I just wanted to remind you tickets are on sale now. CFP closes Friday, and we do have a channel on the JavaScript New Zealand Slack if you want to come and say hi and ask any questions at all. That's all.
Can you drop any special bombs of knowledge for us?
The stickers for the conference are on their way to New Zealand as we speak, and I shall say no more.
Cool. Thanks, Jen. We've got an, first of all, who's from the Wairarapa in the room? Troy? Hi. We've got a NodeBots event in Masterton, but it applies to nobody in this room. To the live streamers, if anyone's in Masterton, jump onto the NodeBots website and you'll be able to find the event. It's on the 6th of Feb, I believe. Anyway, it's going to be cool. We'll be building robots and flying drones in Masterton. Onto the community notices. So we normally do a round of anyone that's hiring. I know there's some people in the room. Gonna shoot. Gonna come up the front, use the mic. Also, we're live streaming the whole event, and I do take photos of the audience. If you don't want your photo to appear on anything, just come and talk to me, and I'll wipe it.
Thank you. I'm Stefan from Properly. We just moved our engineering team from San Francisco to Wellington, and we are now looking for a Node.js developer to join us. We are just over there in a Biz Dojo, so if you're into Node.js and looking for a job, talk to me or Manuel. And thank you.
Anyone else? Come on.
Yeah, so at Fairfax, we're looking for a full stack developer There's a team this is specifically for Auckland, unfortunately. So if people are able and flexible, it's a team which is doing a fair bit of Node. They own their own stack. They do CD. There's also Java, which is required for the role as well. So it's a bit of both. But if you're interested, give me a ping. The job's also available. I think it's advertised on TradeMe, but it's also on the Fairfax site if you look there. Thanks.
Apologies for the mic noises to the live stream. Anyone else? Is anyone looking for work? Oh, got some keen JavaScript developers? Yeah. Come up and use the mic. There's a lot of employers here.
Yeah, just another one. I'm Ian from Silverstripe. I work there as a development manager. We're just looking for some, intermediate senior JS developers to join our client-facing teams. Not at the moment our product development, unfortunately, but yeah, if anyone's interested in some interesting stuff, there's a bit of involving PHP as well. Keen to learn, keen to move into that area as well. So let me know.
You all should talk to Troy as well. Cool. So the last point I'd like to make is we're always on the JavaScript Slack channel. If you're not on it already, jump on. We do a lot of our announcements through there, and there's a massive community. I think we're approaching 500 people on that Slack. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Anna to give you her talk on 50 Shades of Diversity. Feel free to quickly grab a bagel if you need one.
Probably. Cool. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone I see here and online audience. My name is Anna. I'm sure a lot of you know me already on Slack, and you see me like this. I see myself like this. And I'm a full stack JavaScript developer, trained into functional programming, doing other languages like Elm, Erlang, Java, and all this stuff. And lately, I'm into machine learning, artificial intelligence, and all these things. And I'm open for offers, looking for a part-time contract job. Okay, 50 Shades of Diversity. And I've got a prize for a person who can guess the name of the book the topic is named after. And it's not an easy question. Any suggestions? It's not 50 Shades of Grey. Nope. Nope. No ideas? No Google Masters? Google search experts? No? Russian chocolates from St. Petersburg? No. Huh? No, because I'm going to show the picture of the book. Okay. Then I will ask another question. So the person who come after my talk and name all the characters I showed in my slides today will get this box. Nope. 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 When I first started to think about talking about diversity, getting ready to my Brazil.js talk I made in August, I thought, okay, I will research this. I get a bunch of recipes and tell people, give them all possible ways to deal with diversity problems in any situation. And it turned out that it's not possible, but the idea of recipes really got into my mind and I liked it. And I browsed over a book I liked so much because I like to cook. And the book is named 50 Shades of Chicken. And it's a book with 50 recipes how to cook a chicken. And I really like it because it's one main ingredient and 50 ways to cook it. So diversity, if it's one problem of being anything different, but there's so many ways of just talking about it, thinking about it. So I thought, yeah, that's cool. And I just like the play of words here. Yeah, so check out this book, really cool recipes of how to cook a chicken, and very nice video there. Okay, diversity. According to the definition, I think it's Google definition, but any dictionary will tell you the same. It's a range of different things. Yep, just anything, not uniform, but different. And you can see how the use of this word grew from the 17th century, 19th century till now, right? Just huge growth. Why? I hope that's because we've got more information going around and more freedom to spread this information, to talk about things. So the things that are important for us, now we can talk about them. And diversity is one of the things that we really, really would like to talk, because it's like an agenda of every field of, not only tech, of every field of human life. And most of people, when they hear diversity, especially in tech, they think of what? Diversity is like gender problems. We need more women in tech, yay! But my talk will be about women in just maybe a couple of minutes. Phase one, humans. When we talk about different groups, today we most of the time think of gender. Women, men, so we need more women in tech, but it's only tip of the iceberg. Gender problems is really a huge in tech community because of some historical issues we've got. Like, I'm sure most of you heard of this, like change in trend in 80s with the commercials, with the university people, their set of mind, their like how they saw women in tech, all this stuff. So they just pushed a lot of women from tech because they showed them that it's not the place for them to be. And that trend we now are just trying to overcome. It's still here, but we are talking about to overcome. So the gender problem is still here, and it's mostly one of the most discussed when we're talking about diversity, but it's not the only one. For example, body problems. Just recently, maybe 2 days ago, there was the discussion on Slack. I think it was Papa Bear NZ, who told that he got problems while hired, that he's so big that one of the employers didn't want to hire him because he would need to purchase some special equipment to sit, some special desks for him. Isn't it ridiculous? And it's a like thing that you can see. Some people can't hear well, and during the interview, the interviewer might think that this person is not doesn't have enough attention, doesn't pay enough attention what I'm saying, for example. But this person just might be got some ear problems, or other things with body, like skin color. Yes, some people wouldn't just unconsciously hire a person with different skin color. It may be not relevant to New Zealand, but other societies are so traditional about this that you would be surprised. Like, for example, in Brazil, when I was giving a talk, I looked at the audience, and there were something up to 1,000 people there. And I don't know how many percent, but most of this audience was young, white males in Brazil. It was because it was the south of Brazil. And I was so surprised how it looked different to our Wellington meetups. So here, if you look around, you'll see different shades of skin color, right? Of different ethnic backgrounds. In Brazil, no, just maybe a few people, but most of them are so uniform, so homogenic that it was frightening, and that just showed me how lucky we are here in New Zealand, that we don't have this kind of problems so so like on the surface. I mean, like, I'm sure that sometimes somewhere it might be, but not so big as in other countries. Sorry, I should click on it more. Be power. Can I use this? I mean, like, it won't go to sleep then. So body. Age. I started to code a year ago when I was 35, now I'm 36. And I enrolled to the university a year ago. And at the university, I had a problem. It was a class of concurrent programming, concurrent and parallel programming, yeah, level 3. And one of the first tasks for the course was to make some kind of research project in pairs. I asked on Facebook page who would like to join me, to pair with me, to do this task. Can you guess who agreed to do this? Like, what kind of person agreed to do this, to pair with me? The only other guy who was over 30 in the group. The rest, young males and one girl, just didn't show any enthusiasm about this. And I talked about this about this to them later, when we had an exam, just before the exam, we discussed it and asked them why. And they told me, we don't know, but we didn't feel comfortable with it. It was not comfortable to pair with me, like, not old lady, of course, but for them, just remember how you thought when you were like 20, like everyone over 30 was old, right? Yes, yes. Now I feel really young, but I'm over 30 and I feel young, and I think that this is ridiculous, but they don't know this yet. They will get there when they will be over 30. And it struck me that not all professions can afford this change, like this shift at 30, 40, 50, right? Like, you can't become a doctor at 35, like real one, just you won't have time to go through all the studies. But in IT, it's so easy to do. And still, young people, what I think, maybe it's my stereotype, but most of them, I think, are afraid to deal with old people, because they don't know how to behave around them. They're older, so they have to have some respect, and we have a stereotype that older people know more than me. But in this case, I'm, as a young IT professional with 5, for example, already years experience in IT, I for sure know a lot more than just graduate from a code school like 40 years old, right? And I don't know how to deal with this. That's another problem. Culture. I'm a migrant. We moved from Russia here almost 5 years ago. And I can feel sometimes that this culture differences. And culture also includes religion and other cult things and all this. Like, people, for example, don't eat, like Muslim people don't eat pork and don't drink alcohol. Yep. Or they have to be halal, or Jewish people need some also kosher food and they can't eat other food. Or women can't wear, have to wear all these different kinds of head scarves, because they're different names, I just don't remember them. And when we see such a person, especially with women covered in fabric, most of people, like, they understand with their minds it's okay, but they feel uncomfortable because it's unusual for them. They don't see it every day in the streets. And so you see a different person with different dressing habits and maybe different other habits and just from another planet. And you don't know how to deal with it. And most of the time, when we don't know how to deal with it, with anything, what do? We do nothing, right? Culture and psychological types. Culture also presumes language. Like, for me, it's difficult to go to a pub and to talk to someone in a pub, because when it's so loud, I just can't communicate in English well. It's difficult for me. The same psychological types. We all know about introverts and extroverts, but I personally think it's a not right division. It's all mixed. But people are really different in this, and some people feel uncomfortable in the pub, even English native speakers, because they feel uncomfortable when there's so many people talk at the same time. But your team goes to the pub every Friday and discuss some plans there. But sometimes you feel uncomfortable and you go and feel depressed about this. Sometimes you refuse to go because you just there's no point going there because you can't hear anything and just don't feel comfortable. And you miss something important, something binding this team, and eventually you're just they feel that you're out of the team and you leave the company, for example. Why not? And these psychological types can be so different things that people, you see, you are white young male, you see another white young male, and he might be so different from you that first you approach him as you approach yourself and your friends, but you get clashes, problems, because you get different responses, unexpected sometimes sometimes unexpected, and some of them you might offend you. You think that it offends you, but you just don't understand the cultural or psychological difference. But sometimes it's even deeper. It might be the same person from the same social, from the same, the same country, even maybe went to the same school with you, the same age, the same uni studies, but with different experience. Just in life, got different experience. Maybe death of very close people, I don't know, relatives, or maybe some got a fortune from some foreign uncle, yeah? So different bad or good experiences. And you approach this person as you approach yourself, and you expect some reactions from this person, like from what you got every day. And then you see something different, and sometimes you don't like what you get, and you think that there was some bad intent from this person. You decode this like this, but this person got different experience. That's why she or he behaves differently. This is all shapes of diversity in humans, and gender, you can see just such a tiny part of it. But I hope that as we start talking about gender today, today, this century, I hope we can move deep further down the iceberg and reveal all these things in our everyday human interactions in your everyday life. Just when you see the situation, just remember my talk. Oh, that might be this. Maybe I should just ask questions. Don't assume, and be open-minded. But the same goes not only about humans, but about tech. What are the main holy war in JavaScript world? If you are on JavaScript Slack, not every day, but every week for sure. Yes. I won't be pointing fingers today, right? I don't lie to. Yeah, but this, again, but you know what I mean. Functional, it's so cool, let's do everything functional. No, object-oriented programming is better suited for our real-world tasks and all this stuff. Let's do object-oriented functional, just a plaything. You can use functional in production and some mathematical, But this is only one thing. There are also so many tools like Angular, and I think there's no Angular fans today. They're all over there, right? Another meetup. And what bad about it? Because sometimes we shut our mind and we choose a tool, a thing like a tool, a framework, library, language, whatever, just because. Yep. And especially it's not effective when you are team lead, CTO, and you make decisions that everyone else should follow, like choosing a language, choosing a framework for your product. And if you got open mind, if you got diverse team and listen to them, you will choose, your chances to choose a better solution will rise, right? So the same as tools. Why I raise this topic? Because when I read these discussions on Slack, I feel so sad that when people just sometimes argue, sometimes even fight over tools, but we're all in different situations. How can you say that you like this tool is not right? How can you say this? You're not doing my job. How could you know what's best for me, what's not? Because this tool is the best from your experience, for your tasks, yes, but you don't know my experience and my task. How can you say this? That's why I just beg you, please, don't push people who say that they're okay with their tools and you don't like the tool. Just remember this talk that maybe I just don't know something, right? Maybe there's some situations I haven't been yet that this tool might be useful or better than what I use now. Of course, you can say that there's some tools that universally are better than others because they're like social, like crowd opinion on them, they're better because you've heard so many points, like opinions on that it's better. Like everyone says, oh, I don't know what's something new, Vue.js, not Vue.js. It's a really, really good thing. Have you tried it? I looked up 2 days ago for the first time. Okay, another tool. Maybe someday, if I need this, I will use it. I can say bad or good, or first of all, I'm not going to switch it. The same moment someone told me that's a cool tool. So tech is like people. It's like you listen to another thing I also used on the Brazil.js Talk. John Armstrong, one of the authors of Erlang language. He gave a very nice talk maybe 2 years ago on what state we are in programming. And he told that when people got a problem, some bug, error, something like this, where do they go most of the time? Stack Overflow. They found someone describing their case word in word. There's a solution. They tried, it doesn't work. Why? Why the solution to the same description of the error or the problem didn't work for them? State of their machine. Their state, the possible states of one machine, this number is bigger than number of all atoms in the universe. So your machine might be in different state. So what do you need to do to solve a problem? To understand how it works. Only then you will be able to read the Stack Overflow to find, okay, they solved it like this. It might work for me, but I have to check this. I will try then tweak this. Oh, it worked. Why? Because you understand how it works. Why it didn't work in the first place? Because it was different state. The same for tech. Why some people like it so much? Because for their environment, for their problem, this tool fitted the best. You don't know if it will fit your problem and your environment the same. Might be. You need to decide it for yourself. Phase 3. Not humans. This is such a popular topic in modern media. AI, robots, smart robots. And there are a lot of feelings come with this, like fear or excitement. We are afraid that robots will start killing us, or we want to use them because they can do so many tasks instead of us. This all fiction, and you remember about this, right? Most of it my favorites, some of it just popular. And you can just tell me, Anna, but it's a fiction, right? It's movies. It just talks, and it's like from a book or from a movie. It's maybe in future, not today. 12th January 2017, members of European Parliament vote on robots' legal status and if a kill switch is required. And this is the extract from there. Whereas ultimately there is a possibility that within the space of a few decades, AI could surpass human intellectual capacity in a manner which, if not prepared for, could pose a challenge to humanity's capacity to control its own creation and consequently perhaps also to its capacity to be in charge of its own destiny and to ensure the survival of the species. And this is not a movie. This is extract from a real document that was discussed during one of the sessions in European Parliament. And you might say but even somewhere else, no, it's here, it's today. And there's so many ethic questions. And but for us developer, there's another question. When I was just talking to some of my friends about AI and code, and I thought, oh, cool, if machine would written this code would have been better. And he asked me, I don't trust the code a machine wrote. Are you ready to trust a code a machine wrote? Do you think you will be able to read, review, understand some piece of code machine wrote? And it's not very distant future. It's close future. That there will be pieces of code you will be working soon that was written by a machine. Well, how do you feel about it today? Should you, you won't be without a job for sure. There will be a lot of jobs yet, at least in our lifetime. But I was surprised how we felt different about this idea. So I was excited. And I'm willing and I'm waiting that there will be time that machine will write some code because it will be faster, it will be bugless, I think, and reliable and whatever. And my friend told me that he doesn't trust this code. And there's so many legislation questions, ethic questions, and for us developers, this question, how will you react when you see a code written by a machine? Not compiled, no. I'm talking like written by a machine. You just give a task, and there's the application written by a machine, like in full. So that's all open questions. I don't know, just raising it because I think that I will behave like this, but I don't know how I'll behave in real situation. Maybe I'll also be afraid or disgusted. I don't know. I even doubt if I will be able to understand it.
What fitness function they use to define what good code is? How do they train it?
Yes, but it's unsupervised learning and learning machines that's more more evolved than we have today, but they're unsupervised. So they produce something you didn't program them how to. They evolve. Yes, it's about training. We have it rather evolved for now training, but I'm talking about the next step, conscious machines. Like it's in future somewhere, like you've seen these pictures from movies. But I think it is future if we are not like doom ourselves before, like ecologically before that. I don't know. So some interactive part. If you have your devices and if you need a Wi-Fi password, anything like this, could you just please go to this link and there's the question if you liked my talk or not, and click the button there. A button, not the button, a button. There are 3 buttons. And I have it here. If it doesn't work, I will just show the code because I decided not to use the whole thing. The WebSockets and Heroku is not a reliable mix, but I hope this might work. Has anyone pressed a button already? So, okay. Can you try it one more time? If it doesn't work, I will just, it's not important. I will show you the trick that is hidden here. No, it doesn't work. You see, that's unreliable. But I'll just explain because it's not about this. You start to click buttons, and this blue yes, just imagine it grows. And I say, wow, everyone likes my talk. Sorry, WebSockets on Heroku, just awful. Never try this. But app is written in Elm, and it was so easy to write it. It's just Heroku WebSockets. Okay. So, and you all like my talk. I said, oh, that's cool. And this is the code. Yep. Got it? This is Elm, but it's not difficult to read anyway. Got it? Yes? Whatever you click, the stats page will show you that everyone liked it. Yeah. Why did I do this? Because I just wanted to show you how we, as developers, are responsible for what we do. We are in the middle of the human-computer interaction. They're humans, they're computers. Smart or just these dumb things, doesn't matter. We are in the middle, and we are not only controlling, we're producing, we're doing everything we want, how people interact with computers and all the flows going between them. And with this power comes responsibility, right? And yes, we are responsible. I'm sure everyone agrees with this. But my point is that diversity, being like these principles of diversity, open-mindedness, helps you be more responsible. When you, because every day, what developer job is, it's not just writing code, it's making decisions. You decide how this code will behave. And when you make decisions, you want to have a positive outcome of all of your decisions, but it's not possible. All decisions have a positive and negative outcome. We as humans, we try to increase the probability of positive outcomes for us. Bad people just want different outcomes, that's all. And to raise this probability, the more choices you have when you make, like not choices, more data you have while you're making a decision, the better is the probability that you will make one decision that will be with more positive outcome than with negative. When you apply diverse principles, you just have more choice in tools. We have more ideas with different people. You have more ideas with not only people, but artificial intelligence. The more things, the more data, the more information you have, the better, the higher the probability that your decision will be better for you. That's why I encourage you to apply this, to start thinking and apply these thoughts on your everyday, not only tech life, but everyday life, because it just will help you to, I don't know, be happier, I think. Why not? And why I started this talk and talking half a year ago, because what I saw, that there is a vicious circle we try to escape from. The thing of human nature, the problem of human nature is that we tend to be around people that are like us, because it's more comfortable, it's easier. Like you can talk to each other with no words. When your friend is silent next to you when you're drinking beer, you don't need words, right? But when you're doing business, when you're doing things, when you're creating things, that's not good. You need more different people. You need more different tech. And different people, it's stepping out of your comfort zone all the time. If you hire someone different from you, it means that you have to feel this maybe tiny being uncomfortable for like 8 hours every, like 5 days a week. It sounds terrible, right? But if you just approach it from other side and, okay, what can I learn new from this person? She's so different from me, but we might have something in common, but It doesn't have to be something common, but what can I learn new? And diverse team, it's the best team to learn new for yourself as a person and to get the better decisions for your product. So I hope this talk helped you to see diversity problem. And it's not only about gender, it's not only about women, and it's not only about humans. And I think that's all. You can, if you want just a discussion or questions or whatever suggestions, you can mail me. This is my blog. I've just started. There are only 3 posts, but I promise there will be more, especially on AI and machine learning. That's the topic I'm most interested now, and open for hire.
Cool. So we'll just have 2 or 3 minutes. We can go grab a bagel and some water, and Raquel's going to set up.
If you the person with the most number of characters recognizing my slides, so you can come to me now. Just. Yeah. No. Yes.
Two different types of Cylon. There was 6 and there was a toaster. Marvin from Hitchhiker's Guide. Marvin from Hitchhiker's Guide.
Yep. Who will be the last to give a name? Yeah.
And BB-8.
BB-8, yes. Anyone else?
Ex Machina. I only know the actress.
No.
Can't remember. Wally. Did anyone say Wally? And Evie. Eve? I don't know. It's been a while.
Does anyone know my grandfather? No? You are the last one. Yeah, everyone agree?
I think you can just like pass all them out. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I'll have one. Thank you. I've always wanted to go to St. Petersburg.
Let's give him another minute.
No, I'm good. It was the cute female presenting person emoji that was available to me. So, you know, close enough. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if it is on and working, but
Sure is. Cool. So now we have Raquel talking about components and stuff in Cycle.js.
all right. Thanks, people. Who can't hear me? That is a trick question. All right. Hey, I'm Raquel. Today we're going to talk about components and stuff in Cycle.js. I'm going to tell you about a project that I made with Cycle.js, which I, as it says on the slide, doggedly re-architected several times because this one time I drew a diagram and it looked really nice and I thought, yep, that's what I want. So I'm going to sort of take you through that and share with you some of my learnings. Cool. So what is Cycle? Actually, who's heard of Cycle? Oh my God, yay. Okay, so according to the Cycle docs, Cycle is a functional and reactive JavaScript framework for cleaner code. So let's dig into what that means. Functional, and I'm really glad that Anna mentioned this first. So functional programming is the process of building software by composing pure functions, avoiding shared state, mutable data, and side effects. This is actually, I realized I should have credited him on the slide. Whoops. This is Eric Elliott's definition of it. I don't know how I feel about it yet, but it mostly gets us where we need to be. So that's functional programming. But what about the reactive part? So reactive programming is programming with asynchronous data streams. And with JavaScript, we use basically libraries such as RxJS, Extreme, Most is another one, that provide us with these streams. And if that sounds kind of intimidating and weird, streams are basically just a series of events that occur over time. So if you can imagine you've got a user, they're a very impatient user, and they've clicked on this button 5 times. If we think about how to represent that, can you imagine like an array of 5 click events? Now imagine if that array had a sort of a dimension of time. That is basically a stream. It is a series of events occurring over, yeah, sure. All right, you're subscribing to my stream. Great. Using a stream library, we can create these streams of data, like a stream of clicks, and we can then use functions to transform that data and make cool things happen in our application. That's pretty much Cycle.js. And if this is all new to you, don't worry, because I'm pretty much going to be talking about state and architecture, our absolute favorite things. But if you're interested in streams and observables and stuff, I'll provide some extra reading at the end. Everyone with me? Great. All right, so back to Cycle. I think it's really cool because it allows you to express your entire application as a pure function. That's pretty great. So what is a pure function and why is that good? Pure functions are functions that don't perform any side effects, mutating external state, writing to the DOM, making HTTP requests, saving something to a cookie, basically altering anything that doesn't live inside of this function. I know that there are some people out there who like right now are like, oh, I don't know about that definition of purity. I kind of want to argue that. We can talk about it later. Cool. So the cool thing about pure functions is that they're predictable. So given the same input, I'm always going to get the same output. I'm not going to unexpectedly alter some other part of my program. And that's really great because it makes my life as a developer easier, because I am, prone to mistakes. So back to Cycle. What have I made with Cycle? I've made a bunch of things, but the thing that I'm most proud of and the thing that I'm talking about today is Cycle Color Picker. It is basically what it says on the tin. It's a color picker. It was inspired / copied almost directly from React Color Picker. So let's have a look at it. This is Cycle Color Picker. Actually, there's 2 of them there. And as you would expect, you can change the color and you can click on things and change the alpha and have a look at different input types and all sorts of things that you would expect in a color picker. This is the one that I've made. This one over here is React Color. And I saw this and I really wanted to build it. So the context that I was in, I was coming from React and I had a personal project of mine. I'd written it in React and I'd used the React Color Picker. And I decided to rewrite my app. Well, not rewrite, just like make a parallel one. I wanted to make it in Cycle.js just to see if I could and how different it would be. I'm not very original. I just tend to do the same things over and over. And I got to the point of adding my color picker and there wasn't one for Cycle, so I made it. I went for MVP. I went for one cute looking color picker. React Color has a whole bunch of different themes, which I think are really great. And eventually I want to work towards that. But for now, this will do, does the job. Cool. So what are my goals when I was creating this? Number 1 goal, I wanted to create a color picker that was pretty much like React Color. Eventually, as I said, some of the cool themes, because I think they're pretty nifty. I wanted the user to be able to provide a starting color via props, and then the component would sort of listen to user interactions and then send back a new color. And I wanted readable code. Now the caveat there is that who's the arbiter of readable code in this context? And as you probably guessed, it's me because it's my app. Yes. So I come from a world of languages. I'm a student of language. I used to teach English. That was my job. And so for me, readable code is code that reads as close to English as possible. That's what does it for me. I also wanted to learn some stuff. And I didn't know what I was going to learn, but man, I learned a lot of it. So. As a quick aside, I actually had a few false starts on this. I started creating it, and then I got to this point where I had to do some maths, and I got terrified, and then I left it for several months. I just was like, nah, not going to do that. And then I came back to it, and I got over that intimidating part, and I kept on slogging away, and I shipped it, and then I left it. And then I came back to it and I decided to re-architect it 2 more times. I don't know, that probably says something about my personality. Actually, a while ago, my therapist asked me if I view myself as a perfectionist. And I said no, but I'm now reconsidering that. All right, is it time to talk about state yet? Yes, yeah, why not? Let's do it. Okay. So this was my initial plan when I was creating my color picker. As I said, I was coming kind of from React. And when I started getting into React, there was this one article that really sort of shaped how I view React components. There's an article in the React docs called Thinking in React. Who's read that? Couple, cool. Everyone else, there's a link at the end. There's a link at the end, and you should read it because it's really interesting. So what it basically says is if you have a mock-up of your UI, which, I did, look at it and start breaking it into pieces that kind of represent your data model. After some research, I figured out that my data model was going to be basically an object that had hue, saturation, value, and alpha, because that seemed to be the standard for color pickers. So that's what I went with. I thought, great. So I drew these lovely boxes around all of the different parts of my color picker. I thought, awesome, those are my components. Let's make them. was a good plan. And so I drew this diagram. And I love this diagram because I just think it's so neat. It's so lovely. This thing, it takes in a color, my different components, listen to user actions, they change state with a reducer, they emit a new state back up to the parent. And that color is then sent back to the user. It's lovely, in theory. Unfortunately, it didn't work. And I'm wondering if anyone has spotted why. Okay, I'm going to show you. Is the white background readable? Great. Okay, so here is my color picker function. This is what Cycle.js looks like. Don't worry if it doesn't make too much sense to you. So I have this color stream, and it's a merger of some color from props, which is what the user is passing in, and then the color from the components. Now these components, I've got my saturation value, my hue, my alpha, they all take in this color stream, they do some stuff, they send back a stream. Here's this color from props. It's getting the stuff out of saturation value, the stuff out of hue, the stuff out of alpha, and it's sending it to this function called color from components. So that kind of like mushes it all together, sends me back this lovely object, which looks like this. Have you spotted my problem? Unfortunately, color from components up here is defined down here, but I actually need it up here. I have a circular dependency. This is not good. Circular dependencies are really hard to solve. My child components needed something that they were actually calculating and sending back up. Okay, bad. I got myself into a bit of a pickle. And it was one of those ones, do you ever like, you're writing some code and you're like tapping away and going, yep, this is going quite well, but I think there's a problem coming. I don't quite know what it is. I have an inkling on the edge of my mind. I feel like it's coming. And then bam, you find yourself with a circular dependency. Good work, Raquel. Okay, so I really love this diagram. Oh my goodness. It's nice, it's neat, it's tidy. I used to be a librarian. This just makes me happy having things all organized. It didn't work in practice. I was pretty upset by that, but I had to move on with my life. I really wanted to ship this thing. Plan B, one big mono component. It's all just one thing now. So color goes in, bunch of stuff, user interactions, reduces, calculate a new thing, send a new color back out. Good plan, yes? Okay, so it wasn't components. That's okay, that's okay. So there is the process I just described. State, user interactions, reducer, return a new state. What I really love about this diagram is the flow of data. Look how unidirectional it is. It all goes one way. It's really easy to understand where the data is going in my app. I quite like that. But I kind of ran into this problem. Like, if you look at my color picker, it's a bunch of things, and all of them, like, you've got clicks, you've got drag events, and they do some sort of calculation based on where you've clicked. They all have an indicator. There's a lot of similarity there, which is why I wanted to abstract with components. And so I needed to write a stream, like I needed a click stream for my saturation and value bit. I needed a click stream for my hue bit. I needed a click stream for my alpha bit. And I got really bored of writing hue, click stream, alpha, click stream, hue, drag stream, alpha, drag stream. Nah, that sucked. So desperately frustrated, I got some help from Nick Johnstone. And he said, okay, we can abstract this in a different way. So what I ended up with was this kind of generator. And what that did was it generated me a bunch of streams and a bunch of reducers, and I called that. So I called it 3 times. So I generated streams and reducers for my saturation value. I generated streams and reducers for my hue component. and I generated streams and reducers for my alpha reducer. So I was still sharing code in that kind of way. This was a new thing for me. I don't think I would have made that sort of mental leap on my own, but it's really quite affected how I think about things, using generators to share code. Okay. So I had these generators, and then I sort of mushed them all together, and I had my one big reducer for my mono component. It also meant that having this one component, I had to keep track of a lot of state. So when someone was clicking and dragging, I had to figure out which bit of this was actually active. Were they clicking and dragging on the hue bit? Were they clicking and dragging on the saturation value bit? I needed to keep track of that state. Luckily though, because of the unidirectional sort of architecture, although I had quite a lot of stuff in my state, it was really easy to update, and it wasn't hard to read at all. So that was good. So this is actually what's in production right now. It worked, I shipped it, and that was great. Started using it in a few different things. I actually don't know if anyone else on the planet has used it, but maybe someday they will. It got me really to thinking about using generators as a means of sharing code. And it made me think of different abstractions kind of outside the world of a component. You've probably figured out that my brain was really stuck in this like component world, and that's where I was because components made sense to me. I was thinking about this, and I said I used to be a librarian, and I was thinking like, how can I sort of describe this in terms of going to the library, and you've got, you know, Wellington City Library is the Dewey Decimal System. And to me, components are kind of like the Dewey Decimal System. You go to one place and kind of, you know, within a couple of shelves, all the books about piano stuff. Learning to play the piano, history of piano things. I don't know stuff about pianos. Anyway, piano stuff. But this kind of model that I was using with sort of these generators, it was like having all of the how-to guides for everything in one place, and then having all of the history things for everything in one place. It was a different kind of organization, and I wasn't sure that I liked it. The really clear one-way data flow made it really easy to reason about my app, but I actually found the code more difficult to read. It wasn't as close to English as I would have liked. It didn't have that tidiness of components where everything was kind of grouped on context. Everything was instead grouped on utility. And I was pretty sad because it didn't look like my original diagram, which I really, really liked. But anyway, I shipped it, and then I left it for several months. But it bothered me. So I went back to Plan A, version 2, which was solve that circular dependency because I'm a masochist. So we're back here at this component, and you'll remember the circular dependency that I showed you. Oh, goodness. Okay, here's the diagram again. But now it gets a little bit tricky because I have to do some mental and code gymnastics. So I'm going to show you the code for this. And don't worry if it doesn't make too much sense to you. That's okay. All right. So I mentioned before that in JavaScript, we can use libraries to provide us with these observable streams. And I'm using a library called Extreme. And this was developed by the creator of Cycle. It's kind of intended for use with Cycle, though you can use whichever stream library you like. That aside, Extreme has this utility where it can help you solve these circular dependencies with a proxy imitate kind of thing. So you can see here I've got this color change proxy stream, and it starts out as just like an empty observable. It just exists. And then some stuff happens, and then all the way down here, after I have this change stream, that's the stuff coming out of my components, I then get my proxy to imitate the change stream. So those are now the same. Yeah, seems like a nice way to kind of solve that problem of having to have something exist except that it doesn't exist yet, but we can kind of copy it. And this did work. I had to do a few strange things though. previously in my architecture, I had this concept of a color, and that was kind of the thing that I was working with. Now I had something different. I had a color, and I had a color change. And a color change was something that was coming out of my component. So someone clicks and drags that alpha slider, and the alpha slider sends out a new alpha value. That's a change. So I need to grab hold of that change, and I then take hold of it, and I put it back into the color. So why can't I just like imitate this color stream? Like, why do I have to kind of do these weird gymnastics? And it's down to a peculiarity. Actually, it's not very peculiar. It makes a lot of sense. In that with Extreme, only certain streams can be imitated. Mainly the ones that can't be imitated are ones called memory streams. And as the name suggests, memory streams are streams that kind of hold on to the previous value. So any kind of reduce, and in this case, it's called fold, where you see fold just kind of mentally substitute reduce, or combine, or a couple of different things. Anything where I have still got the previous value, I can't actually imitate that stream, thus requiring these strange little gymnastics. Yeah, it was a bit of a mind bend. I was happy in that my app now looked more like my diagram, but I wasn't entirely satisfied. It's okay. Okay. Learn to use Prezi. There we go. All right, so some of the pros of this approach, apart from that little imitate bit, my actual components themselves, they were really nice, looked mostly like my diagram. It all worked. And it got me to thinking about sort of the parts of my app and the data in different ways. Previously, I hadn't thought about having this change thing as something separate to my actual color. And by pulling it out, it sort of made me think of my app in a different way. And that's always good. As Anna said, diversity in your thinking is great. Unfortunately, this really compromised my reasoning about the flow of data in my application. So while the code itself was nice and easy to read, it was quite close to English, I was sort of doing that thing where I was like, oh, okay, so it's here, and then something goes down here, but then, oh, okay, we go back up here. Okay. And although I had solved that circular dependency, that was the one explicit circular dependency, and I kept running into kind of sneakier circular dependencies when I was passing that color stream into my child components. I had all sorts of weird things where like nothing would render because apparently nothing was there. Weird bugs. So that was tricky. It wasn't easy to understand. And so I was still frustrated. Perfection is hard to achieve. So I went on to plan A, version 3, onionify, because components apparently are like onions. All right, what the heck is onionify? Onionify is a state management library, and it helps you manage state in your Cycle applications. Again, it was written by the creator of Cycle. It's not part of the Cycle core at the moment. Potentially it will be in the future, but you know, it's kind of like one option at the moment. What it does is it wraps your main function. So my main function is color picker, and it provides it with an onion, and this onion is your state object. So you pass that into your color picker or whatever have you. It helps eliminate that circular dependency problem. I'll show you an example soon. And to update the state, what you do is you return a stream of reducers. So state comes in the state object. Out of your main function go reducers, and then in the library, in the onion, whatever, it does the work of sort of updating that state and sending it back into your application. Oh, I wanted to zoom in on that picture. We're going to do that. Maybe. Okay. So this is the image from the onionify docs, and this took me a little while to understand. So for now, ignore the things that say state B, state C, reducer C, and reducer B. And then look at A. The line in the middle with the arrows, Imagine that to be the data flow through your application. So data flows in and it's state, and then data flows out as reducers. Cool. Now, cool. So what did my onionified component look like? There goes that zoom. Okay. All right. What did my onionified component look like? It looked pretty much like my diagram. I'm super happy. So into my component, I send this color props, and I also send an onion. And from that onion, I get my state, and I send that to my child components. They do their work, and we send out reducers. Fantastic. I'll show you the code. Because I actually love reading this code. It makes me really happy. Okay, here's my color picker. And here is the aforementioned onion state that's assigned to the variable color. And I then pass that down to my components. They're all happy. It's great. Out of my components, I get their change stream and I send it to compose color. That's just a function that kind of mushes the hue, saturation, alpha, all of that back into one object for me. And then I send that out as part of this reducer stream. That gets sent out to the onion, which then handles the update, sends me back my new state. This to me, like, I am really happy with this. It is lovely and readable. It makes a lot of sense to me. If it doesn't make sense to you, don't worry. It took me a lot of context to get to where I am with this at the moment. But my circular dependency has been abstracted away from me, and I can just deal with the flow of data in my application. Something to note is that my application is only nested one layer deep. So I don't have child components that have child components that have child components. I'd be really interested to use Onionify in that kind of layered manner and see how that goes, but not something I've done yet. Cool. So, yeah, that diagram. So that diagram, that onion diagram, didn't actually make a lot of sense to me the first 50 odd times I looked at it. Then I turned it on its side and I was like, it's like my application. The state goes in, the reducers go out. I just had to flip it over. Funny how doing strange little visual things like that can sort of change your perception. It's okay. Doesn't make sense to you? Don't worry. Okay. So the pros, it looks really nice, neat, and tidy. I'm happy. My librarian soul is happy. I'm appeased. It works. And it's using a reducer pattern that I'm really familiar with, which is nice. I don't have to worry about my circular dependency, and reading my code brings me joy. The documentation for Onionify is fairly new, and I think it lacks kind of an intermediate example at the moment. If you look in the Onionify examples, there's like a very simple sort of counter application example. And then there's a TypeScript to do MVC kind of thing. And it's like, ooh, I need something in the middle there. So I'm planning to make a pull request to that effect. I don't know how I feel about defining my initial state. So I didn't mention this, but the initial state, you sort of define it with a reducer. And then you send it out to the onion. I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah, we'll see. So it's not like React where sort of your initial state is this kind of separate object. It's quite interesting. As I observed, like, I don't have a very nested architecture, so it would be interesting to see what I can do with Onionify in a more nested architecture. And also every time I hear the name Onionify, I think about Shrek. Because ogres are like onions. Seen it too many times. All right, so where to from here? As I said before, my kind of abstracted mono component thingamabob, that's in production at the moment. I think I'm gonna actually choose the Onionified version because it makes me so happy, and I'm gonna pop that into production. I'm going to keep making Cycle components. I've been talking to people in the community about like a WYSIWYG and sort of drag and droppable stuff, and we'll see where that goes. Here is the further reading that I promised you, and I will post this on the JavaScript Slack if you like. Incidentally, anyone who uses Prezi, they don't like support proper nice hyperlinks. It's kind of annoying. But there's a really good introduction to functional reactive programming, which is both in video form on Egghead and also a GIST or a GIST, or I don't know, pick your pronunciation. Yeah, so thanks for listening to me talk about Cycle components and architecture and stuff. I'm Raquel, I work at Flick. If you're interested in joining us, come have a chat to me. I spend my weekends doing this kind of stuff. And yeah, if you want to talk to me about it, message me on the JavaScript Slack or on Twitter, or have a chat to me after. Thanks.
Oops. Well, this loads. Thanks again for coming. Can I load? We've got a good lineup for future meetups. So what's happening is 9th of Feb. We've got Mix, Evan, and EDA Lightning talks. So Mix will be talking about how building decentralized changes your way of thinking. If anyone saw Dominic Tarr talk about some of his stuff, it completely blew my mind, so I wouldn't be surprised if Mix further blows my mind. Be a fascinating talk to go to, definitely recommend it. We've also got this placeholder. So on the 27th of Feb, we have the event space booked. It just so happens to line up with the New Zealand JavaScript conference. If you find yourself in a position where you've been accepted to give a talk and you want to give like just a dry run to the audience, please get in touch with us. We'd love to put you up in front of a crowd to get feedback, to see where you're going with your talk. And then from the 27th of Feb, you'll have a few weeks in order to fine tune it for the 9th and 10th of Feb, which will be the conference. We also have the potential to have a meetup on the 6th, where we're trying to get the international keynotes coming over to talk at this meetup as well. So definitely watch the meetup page. There'll be lots of meetups coming through up until March, and then we'll go back to our regular monthly ones until fascinating events happen. We base things around that. Thanks all. We're constantly looking for more speakers. If you'd love to give a talk, come talk to myself or Anna, or jump on a Slack channel and shout out. We'd love more sponsors so we can do more amazing things. We're really getting into live streaming, but we have a somewhat ad hoc setup. We want to do bigger and better things, and we want to build the community out. So sponsoring this meetup is not just sponsoring Wellington, you're also sponsoring Auckland.js, all of the other JSs. We're just figuring out how best the society can help build the JavaScript community throughout New Zealand. If you'd like to hear something in particular, specifically around like JavaScript or Node or anything, come talk to me. Speaking of Node, there is the Node meetup. If any of you are a member of that, we're phasing it out and pushing everything through the Wellington.js meetup. If you do want to run the Node meetup for whatever reason, come talk to me and I'll quite gladly hand it over. Otherwise, it's just going to shut its doors and everything will be funneled through the Wellington.js meetup. And if all else fails, come chat to us on Slack or in real life. Oh yeah, we're doing a membership run coming close to the conference. If you are interested in being a New Zealand JS Society member, so you'll get to vote on particular ideas and proposals that we push forward, definitely get involved. You'll be able to find out more if you jump on the Slack channel and ask about the membership. At the moment, it's still at its rate of $20. We will be changing it to a floating rate, but this will be further pushed out towards the meetup. We've just rolled out a new website, so thanks to James McPhee who did that work. But the new website, which is javascript.org.nz, will have further details on how to become a member, so jump on that. I'll be going down to the Hop Garden for a quick cheeky pint. If anyone wants to join me, they're more than welcome. Otherwise, thank you all for coming, and I hope we see you again next time.